Let us explore the Buddha's methods of dealing with incompetence. This evening's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question received on Messenger. Coping with ass-haffery. Good evening, Jay. Hey, Lama. So, as Buddhists, we're not allowed to strangle a motherfucker, are we? Just joking. Hey, Lama. So, as Buddhists, we try our best to use right speech. That is exactly right. I'm having a hard time with others not using right speech. Whoopsie. Not like they are lying, but kind of like Sturgeon's Law thing. For the uninitiated, Sturgeon's Law teaches that 90% of everything sucks, but not in the fun, tingly way. Let's continue. When I say something, I am a matter-of-fact type of person. Some people say things and are so far off, it gets me frustrated. So frustrated. And of course, my inner wise ass goes straight to Marvin the Martian. Ooh, wait, how's it go? That makes me very frustrated. I shall have to use my P-36 space modulator. No, I'm not making fun of Jay, but I'm just making fun of the word frustration. Just kind of riffing off the dictionary right now, but let's continue. I found that playfulness is an excellent source of resourcefulness. Let's continue. I don't think these people are actively trying to deceive me, but it's annoying all the same. And I want to applaud Jay for being honest. So many people, in the name of spirituality, lie to themselves, lie to their higher power. You know, there's sometimes you have to lie, you know. Do these jeans make me look fat? No, dear. No, dear. In fact, when you turn sideways, I can't see you. Sometimes telling the truth will get you killed. Or like when a cop says, do I look like an idiot? No, no, officer, you don't look like an idiot. Not at all, officer. Not even a little bit. Let's continue. I've heard the quote, trust but verify. At this time in my life, I have to verify before I trust. So let's explore here for a second. There's a wonderful saying, I'm not sure if it's legit. I heard it in an Aladdin movie, either in the early 80s or late 70s, and it goes like this: trust in Allah, but tie up your camel. So just because you believe someone is not malicious, if they've gone to great efforts to prove to you that they are a nincompoop, then wouldn't it be rude not to trust them? So we trust that people are sharp, and then when they work diligently to prove that they are a schmuck, we trust that they're a schmuck, for they've worked hard to say, hey, I'm a schmuck. Let's continue. Along your journey to masturbating, I mean mastering the Eightfold Path, did you ever get frustrated with people not using right speech? No, Jay. I have no idea of what you speak. I'm sorry, I'm too busy conjugating Tibetan to ever feel frustration. No, I assure you, my mishpacha, I feel the entire spectrum of human emotions. The good news about meditating is it enhances your mindfulness. The bad news about meditation is that it enhances your mindfulness, and you become aware of emotions that you've been repressing for a very long time. So I can guarantee that the further one advances on the path, the more one becomes intimately aware of every emotion. So before I teach you my easy 47-step plan to deal with emotions, let's continue. So I was a bit befuddled at this point because quite often we think in specifics but communicate in generalities. That is a human dilemma, and hopefully for intelligent, we'll ask for clarification, even if asking makes us look daft. So I wrote, okay, I need some clarification. Are these people bullshitting? Are they being silly? Are they being serious but just not grounded in reality? Please flush. I should have said flesh. Sorry. Please flesh this out for me a little bit. Give me an example, please. And then Jay was great. He gave me a splendid example. It's always when I'm asking for factual information, and it could be as simple as, how late is that pharmacy open? I may be asking this question because I don't have access to a phone or internet, etc. And the person would go to the website and tell me 10 p.m. But that would be what time the store itself closes. While in the meantime, the pharmacy department would close at 9, which of course between you and me is lame on many levels. Number one, it's a lame policy. And number two, it's lame for the person to do that. Now, I'm re-spoiled. My best pal is super sharp and super organized, and it is an utter delight. But it sucks. It totally sucks, not in the fun, tingly way. That the more vulnerable we are, the more resourceless we are, the more we need to rely on others. And it's in that state of heightened vulnerability that we sometimes discover tragically how inconsiderate and disorganized and unthinking and perhaps even passive-aggressive they can be. I love Robin Williams. He said many wonderful things. One of the things he said later in life was this, and I'm going to paraphrase. Everybody is fighting an invisible war. Be kind. And so many times we are just barely keeping it together, like one of the main characters in the movie Bowfinger, whose mantra was keeping it together, keeping it together, keeping it together, keeping it together. Sometimes it's easy to keep it together. Sometimes it's difficult. And when we are just hanging on by a thread, it's then that the fools... then we are most profoundly vulnerable to the foolishness of fools. So before I get specific, I want to share with you one last Robin Williams quote. This quote was delivered... This quote was proclaimed during Robin Williams' first HBO special way back in the 1970s when the crust of the earth was still cooling. And he proclaimed while imitating a Shakespearean actor, "Assholes do vex me." Or ask if someone is inquiring about a certain medication and says clonidine instead of Klonopin. I know they don't mean to, but it's happening a lot lately where I just have to investigate almost everything everyone says before I waste my time. So I'm going to state something that you already know. Sometimes, when allowing people into our inner circle, we do so out of desperation or out of excessive graciousness. And it may be time to set space to really let in sharp people who can really be the wind under your wings, as opposed to the flatulence under your nostrils. So let's get to it. So we're going to take a two-phase approach. Number one, coping. Flowing. In, oopsie, the zone. Whoopsie daisy. And let's see, I'm going to tap button 9. Whoops, let's try that again. Button 5. So what follows is nothing you don't already know. And yes, I know that is a double negative. So what's following is stuff that you already know, Jay. I'm just going to remind you. Not because you have a weak mind, but because you have been the ringmaster of a Barnum and Bailey sized shit show. Your life has been an exciting adventure and not in the fun, delicious way. So I'm going to remind you of what you already know. I'm having some coordination issues. Here we go. So, if you're here, you don't want to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. If you're hanging out with me, you probably want to be more flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind than you already are. So let's explore that not from the place of superstition and not from the place of tradition, but instead from a place of science. See, that an echo would have been great there, don't you think? So let's check this out. Right here, this lumpy thing is our amygdala. It is the seat of anxiety and aggression. It is crucial to survival, and it has served our ancestors well. And it is wonderful in small doses occasionally. It is an excellent tool, but a terrible boss. Most of it, those of us living in late stage capitalism are marinating in a culture that is perilously driving us to just camp out in our amygdala. And so one of the greatest acts of subversion we can do is to transcend this. I'd like to show you how, or at least remind you of how to do this in a way that you already know. As you already know, the most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. For doing so induces our cerebral cortex to cooperate with the sympathetic nervous system located in the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us perceive in a very special way. This bad boy has evolved to help us perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. And already, this hunk of meat, this bunch of metaphoric wires, is geared to help us be yin instead of yang, and that's fabulous. So as you already know, we're wired to perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. And yes, this can feel overwhelming. Fortunately, there's an app for that. That app is named meditation. And the most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Doing so induces our cerebral cortex to cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within both the lower third as well as the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us both physically relax as well as mentally release. So here's the cool thing. We don't have to force it. We are already wired to be groovy and relaxed and able to surf the present moment. All we need to do is use our intention to play with these monosyllabic words to help us to actively cooperate with these systems that are already in place. Basically, it is as if we're stepping on our dick, and all we got to do is lift our foot and stop doing that. Our dick will thank us. So, thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. Okay, so when we are feeling strong emotions, sit and practice this. If your strong emotions are so turbulent that sitting feels like an impossibility, then practice this whilst briskly walking around the block. When doing so, I recommend replacing the word this with the verb perceiving and replacing the word ease with the verb releasing. This is not an affirmation. You're not going into magical thinking. You're just labeling processes that are already occurring latently, subtly, surreptitiously. If you are just pissed off at someone and you are involuntarily visualizing cursing someone or murdering someone, then while you are already in that mode, there is something very fun you can do. And I'm going to switch gears for this. So, un momento. I'm going to press button 9. You can imagine in an empty room, you can pantomime grabbing them by the shirt and gazing, not in their eye, but in their forehead, straight into their brain. And basically using the Jedi mind trick, if there was such a thing, to say, and use a deep, scary voice, "Whatever comes, may you let it come. Whatever stays, may you let it stay. Whatever goes, may you let it go." And this is much better than cursing someone's dick to fall off in their sleep or cursing someone to take their own life. So basically, you're using all your willpower to bless them to master the path. Is that going to work? Are you a wizard, Harry? Most likely not. But it sure is so much more constructive. So we are not lying to ourselves about our wrathful energy. We're simply applying it creatively, dramatically, playfully. Once again, the late Saint William suggested that it's important, if we're going to be happy, we allow ourselves to be a bozo. And so we return back to the basic meditation instructions. What's the payoff? Glad you asked. Numero uno, you calm your amygdala. Oh, that means you'll never be angry ever again? Ha! Fat chance. It means when you are angry and you apply these tools, you're less apt to make a rash decision or say something you can never take back or do something with rather unpleasant consequences. Number 2, the more we practice mindfulness and meditation, I'm looking at you, wristwatch, at least once every 12 hours, approximately. The more we do this, the more we will stimulate this hunk of flesh right here, this thing that the big kids call the anterior cingulate gyrus. It functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy and compassion and love. The late Tulku Thondup insisted that the highest love is the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of mindfulness and meditation, and not that which can be contrived through concentration or contemplation. Excuse me, I needed to take a second to be classy. So that's number 2. Here's number 3. The more and more we groove with meditation, be it seated or walking, the more we will find that our choices, utterances, and deeds are flowing flowing with the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. This is the path. We can master it ridiculously quickly. But I got to be honest with you. We are not jars we're not brains in a jar. I was going to say we're not jars in a brain. I guess that's true also. We live in an interdependent universe where things affect things and things are affected by things. If not immediately, then eventually. If not directly, then indirectly. If not overtly, then subtly. If not actually, then potentially. So we have to set ourselves up for success. So again, I'm going to take great joy in insulting your intelligence. If we wish to become this Ubermensch, this higher life form, we must get enough sleep. We must get fresh air, sunshine, whatever exercise we can get, even if it's just sitting your ass on the couch, standing up and sitting back down again. You do that 10 times every 45 minutes. That will stir things up. That will get your juices going. If you have ADHD, if you have any addictive tendencies, this will give you the splash of dopamine that is like oil to the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. Eat a healthy diet. You can shop at the dollar store and still eat a whole food, plant-based diet. It is the best thing for your brain and your body. If you want your survival mechanisms to serve you better than they have in the past, feed them what they need. Okay, the flogging has concluded. I think it could be great fun if together as a team we chanted and meditated together. So let's do that after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you will not have to. Welcome, my friend, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Und now we have ways to make you wise, und they are not pleasant ways. So let's play with the latest iteration of the Sadhana version of the Song of Enlightenment, written oh so many centuries ago by Yongjie Xuan Zhui, please forgive my pronunciation, translated by Red Pine, adapted and amplified by this MOOC which sits before you. So let's set this evening's intention by non-dramatically wishing for universal enlightenment. Whatever comes, may all beings let it come. Whatever stays, may all beings let it stay. Whatever goes, may all beings let it go. If everybody mastered this, there would be no genocides. There would be no murder, death, kill. There would be no jingoism or fascism or classism or sexism or racism or homophobia. There would simply be a family of humankind making poverty and scarcity the stuff of myth. There are a total, I forgot, not 55, I think it's 72, I don't really remember. Anyway, there's a bunch of verses here. Let's see if we can't play with 4 tonight. Please chant with me. Do you not see apparently idle followers of the way? Not actively studying, not apparently busy. Not actively getting rid of delusions, not actively looking for the truth. The true nature of their ignorance is the same as their aware, laid back and loving Buddha nature. Their illusory empty bodies or their dharma bodies of the mastery of awareness and release. Let's explore this. We're going to go through this a total of 3 times. Let's start our second way through. Do you not see apparently... Do you not see apparently idle followers of the way? Not actively studying, not apparently busy. Not actively getting rid of delusions, not actively looking for the truth. The path is simple. So simple, it's possible to master it in but a week. The true nature of their ignorance is the same as their away, laid back and loving Buddha nature. So people tend to get really mystical about Buddha nature, but Buddha nature is just an Iron Age way of talking about the same parts of the brain we just mentioned. The sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, the anterior cingulate gyrus, which makes mindfulness and letting go and loving possible. We all have this. We are all capable of being Buddhas. And when we come face to face with our rage, with our befuddlement, by practicing these techniques, we're able to viscerally remember that the nature of that ignorance is the same as our Buddha nature. That's mystical. Let's make this visceral. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever befuddlement we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less graspable, less permanent, less defining. Likewise, as we relax into our exhalation, whatever Buddha nature we might have noticed or at least imagined during our inhalation, too could feel less graspable, less permanent, and less defining. As we breathe in, everything is different, and that's useful because I want to know the difference between a steaming mound of doggy doo and chocolate, or I will have terrible breath. But as we relax into our exhalation, things, at least a little bit, at least momentarily, share the same non-graspable nature. Practicing non-duality does not mean you pick up a hunk of dog poop and call it chocolate. It means that we're able to reconcile duality and non-duality, mindfulness and meditation, the conventional and the ultimate, the inhalation and the exhalation. Their illusory empty bodies or their dharma bodies of the mastery of awareness and release. So if we wanted to wade knee deep into Buddhist metaphysics, we would talk about the three bodies of a Buddha, the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya, which are just metaphors for our mastery of love and letting go, bliss and letting go, as well as awareness and letting go. So once again, the author of this text is demystifying enlightenment. The more we make it spooky and scary, the more we are justifying our non-attainment of it. But when we see it for what it is, when you pierce through the press and see the nature of the emperor's new clothing, it makes the path much easier. Too many fools use emptiness as a way of denigrating our body in its act of renunciation. Oh, this all too solid flesh that it would melt away. Apologies to William Shakespeare. But this flesh, with all its flaws, is just as empty as our Buddha nature, and vice versa. So self-loathing is not necessary. In the words of one of Dolly Parton's cinematic characters, get off the cross! Someone needs the wood. So, whoopsie, that does not work well. Let's see if I can't fix that bad boy. Please bear with me. Yes. No. Oh, that's what happened. Okay, let's go over here. Hit copy. And hit paste. And let's get fancy schmancy and hit wunderbar, das ist wunderbar. Cowabunga. Now, if you've just joined me, I'm going to take 90 seconds to insult your intelligence. The most efficient way to... The most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation. The most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation. As we do that, we will notice and release all manner of things. is. From the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the painful to the pleasurable, from the boring to the interesting, from the grotesque to the glorious. So let's get practice right now for the next, I don't know, let's say 8 to 10 minutes. Ooh. Okay, let's ease on down the road. We come now to the second verse. The dharma, trouble with the R. See, this R is not trilled. This one is, my little brain is getting all confused. Their dharma body they realize does not include a graspable thing. Their original nature is a primordial Buddha's awareness, letting go and love. It is as if the five skandhas, It is as if the five skandhas of form, feeling, intensity, impulse, and awareness were as non-graspable as clouds floating aimless in the sky. The three poisons of hating, craving, and clinging like mere bubbles, or appearing then gone. Haha. Okay, and now the second repetition, where I explain things. Lucy, you've got some splaining to do. Their dharma body they realize does not include a graspable thing. Their original nature is the primordial Buddha's awareness and letting go and love. So, it's easy. There's a song by the Black Eyed Peas, and it was popular probably close to 8 or 10 years ago. And I think it's called I'm a Bee. Forgive me, I'm not as cool as I'd like to be. And they're all reaching into the future. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. I'm going to be this. Blah, blah, blah. And clearly much more cool than myself. And we can get that way pseudo-spiritually. Man, when I'm a Buddha, I'm going to walk on water. I'm going to walk through walls. It'll be awesome. I'll do the Jedi mind trick. But that was not what the Buddha was about. The Buddha was just about mastering the Eightfold Path. Simply becoming the person your dog already thinks you are. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Just mastering the path of awareness, letting go, and love. And although the Buddha, real or imagined, real or archetypical, is terribly cool, the Buddha, like everything else, can be noticed as we relax into our exhalation. The Buddha, real or archetypical, that we notice can feel less graspable, less permanent, and less defining, just like everything else. That is not a commentary on the Buddha, that is commentary on how our wiring has evolved. The Buddha organized human experience in many, many, many different ways over his lengthy teaching career. One of the more concise ways of organizing it is the 5 piles, the 5 heaps, or the 5 skandhas. So form is simply our body, feeling is our experience of pleasure or pain. Intensity would be the volume of the pleasure and pain. Impulse is our reaction to reach for more of the pleasure or run away from more of the pain. And our awareness is our perception of all the above. It includes emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagining. And it's so easy for good-hearted students to become such masters of minutia that they forget the big picture. And that the minutia of our experience, and that as we relax into our exhalation, the minutia of our experience, you guessed it, could feel as non-graspable as fluffy white cumulus clouds lazily drifting across the vista. There are many ways of categorizing our survival drives. I like to think of them in terms of the 6 F's. When encountering any new thing, being, or phenomena, we are wired to instantly, unconsciously ask ourselves 6 things. That thing over there, that person over there. Should I fuck them? Should I feed on them? Should I fight them? Should I flee from them? Should I faint before them? Should I fawn over them? Bit of the old ass-kissery. And as disgraceful and as embarrassing and as low energy as all that may be, as we relax into our exhalation, even the most vulgar of survival drives is as non-graspable as the little tiny bubbles that we see in the surf during the heat of summer, that when we scoop it with our hands are gone in but a second or two. And now for the third and final repetition. Their dharma body they realize does not include a graspable thing. Their original nature is the primordial Buddha's awareness, letting go and love. It is as if the first skandhas of form, feeling, intensity, impulse, and awareness were as non-graspable as clouds floating aimless in the sky. The three poisons of hating, craving, and clinging like mere bubbles, or appearing then gone. We come now to our third verse. Seeing what is real during the perceptive inhalations, but not as graspable persons or things. During the relaxing exhalations, they instantly quench the fires of hell. Meanwhile, those who deceive others with lies denigrating Buddha's quick path. Deserve blissmen culpas in hell, having the tongues torn out. Whoops, let's try that again. Seeing what is real during the perceptive inhalations, but not as graspable persons or things. During the relaxing exhalations, they instantly quench the fires of hell. When the Buddha spoke of karma, he was not trying to coerce people into practicing a form of morality. He was talking about simple things like our body affects our experience of pleasure and pain. Our experience of pleasure and pain affects our experience of intensity. Our experience of intensity affects our impulses. Our impulses affect our mind. That's it. There was no moralism. The Buddha was not keen on fear. In fact, fear and love are two opposite things, and 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. Said all that to say this. To avoid if there is such a thing as multiple rebirths, then the easiest way to avoid an inauspicious rebirth is to have a healthy practice of mindfulness meditation. Meanwhile, those who deceive others with lies denigrating Buddha's sudden path deserve to spend kalpas in hell, having their tongues torn out. Ironically, the author of this text started his spiritual career on the gradual path, and he experienced the second path accidentally, and he was really impressed with it, and so he taught it for the remainder of his days. That just as it's taught in the penultimate passage of the Satipatthana Sutta, full enlightenment can be mastered in less than a week. And so if someone is contradicting that, they're contradicting the fundamental teachings of the Buddha. Wouldn't recommend that. Now, this is very, very hyperbolic language. The author of the text is not saying, hey, this is what's going to happen. They're just saying, that's what they deserve. Seeing what is real during the perceptive inhalations, but not as graspable persons or things. During the relaxing exhalations, they instantly quench the fires of hell. Meanwhile, those who deceive others with lies denigrating Buddha's sudden path deserve to spend kalpas in hell having the tongue sworn out. And now let's meditate. All right. We should make our way now to the fourth and final verse that we're going to explore this evening. We're going to chant this for 3 repetitions. Instant understanding is thus come one tathagata meditation. Every practice and perfection is practice in your body's tissues that facilitate awareness and release. The 6 passive existence look real in a dream. Once you're awake, the whole graspable universe is gone. Oopsie. Okay, now for our second repetition, let's explore this. 4th verse. Instant understanding is thus come one tathagata meditation. Let's explore that. Understanding here is used metaphorically. So, to illustrate my point, I'm going to use a drawing of the brain. Understanding here is not the literal fruit of analysis. Understanding here is the visceral experience that as we relax into our exhalation, due to our parasympathetic nervous system, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, now feels less graspable, less permanent, and less defining. Momentarily, fleetingly. And then during the next inhalation, it can seem rather solid and permanent and defining. And during the next exhalation, it can feel less so. So this is the understanding that the author is referring to. So there is this myth that we can think our way to enlightenment, but that's not accurate. We feel our way to enlightenment. Continue with the second couplet. Every practice and perfection is present in your body's tissues that facilitate awareness and release. Ridiculous scholars with great big pencils and little tiny penises get lost in minutiae and encourage others to do likewise. And what the author is saying here is, guys, just as is inferred in the Avatamsaka Sutra, it is through this simple practice of awareness and release, relying upon our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, that we perform every perfection, every practice described in Sutra and Shastra. It's practiced figuratively, indirectly, and efficiently. For, as I keep telling you, in the penultimate passage of the Satipatthana Sutta, it is taught that it is possible to master the Buddha's path in but a week. The 6 passive existence look real in a dream. Once you're awake, the whole graspable universe is gone. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever rage we might have noticed during our previous inhalation, as we relax into our exhalation, whatever rage or greed or confusion or fear or jealousy or pride we might have experienced during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was less graspable, less permanent, and less defining. And now for our third and final repetition. 4th verse. Instant understanding is thus come one tathagata meditation. Every practice and perfection is present in your body's tissues that facilitate awareness and release. This expensive existence look real in a dream. Once you're awake, the whole graspable universe is gone. As we relax into our exhalation, the universe that we noticed during our previous inhalation could at least fleetingly feel a little bit less solid, a little bit less permanent, a little bit less defining. So if you've just joined me, allow me to insult your intellect and remind you that, oopsie, let's see. There we go. And remind you that the most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently, mentally, and passively recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. For doing so induces the cerebral cortex to cooperate with the functioning of the sympathetic nervous system in the middle third of our spinal cord, which has evolved to help us perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. Perceive what? Perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, as well as emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. Now that could feel overwhelming at times, but evolution has given us a safety valve, which brings us to meditation. For the most efficient way to practice meditation is by silently, mentally, and passively reciting the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation. Doing so induces our cerebral cortex to more actively cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system, located in both the lower third as well as the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us to physically relax and mentally release. So, quick like a bunny, I'm going to photograph this page so I can remember it in preparation of tomorrow morning's class. Fabulous. Okay. Let us seal this practice by wishing for universal enlightenment. Whatever comes, may all beings let it come. Whatever stays, may all beings let it stay. Whatever goes, may all beings let it go. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.